So we all remember our IEPs, and probably you guys have heard the term, the acronym SMART goals. Have you heard that in our history? Also, kind of in the business environment too. If you Google this, so here you go with our Google again. It even changes. This is one of the acronyms for goal writing, which is across all domains that is probably the most prevalent. And again, it is changing depending on who's writing it, who's talking, and what year we're living in now. So this year, most recently, I Googled this because I subscribe to these SMART goals as a way of tracking behavior, tracking time and attention. And currently, they're saying that it's loosely based on Peter Drucker's management by objectives concept, which is one concept that it's based on, but it's also based on a lot of other things. Easy to understand, know when your tasks have been done. So what we're going to talk about really fast is not necessarily the types of goals that we did in IEPs that were 2 times over a 3-week domain and things like that, but more being interested in the concept and the awareness that we can still be working together on goals with our young adults, that we still can make progress, that we still are invested in their movement forward, in their future, and that we can still affect change and support with them. So this is kind of like a good place to begin. So if we imagine SMART as an acronym, which it is, I'm just going to go through these really fast. The specific, so we want to target an area of improvement. We want to say communication versus, or saying talking to people at a party versus communication. We want to be specific. We don't want to be vague. We want it to be clear to everybody. Also measurable. We want to quantify the level of improvement. So my example here is the difference between be a lot better at getting up on time. I've heard that as a non-specific measurable, versus every night I set my alarm and every morning I get up independently and I build in 1 snooze. Everybody loves to hit the snooze once, as a way of managing our progress and process. This one is very important, and this is a new way of thinking about it too, with the A, agreement. So we can have our best laid plans, but will our young adult buy in? Are they in it with us, or is it just us saying, you know what, I got the best way of doing your life the following way, and they're like, Mom, I really don't care, and then it's just dead in the water, right? So it's really important that you both are working on the same goals at the same time to make this progress happen. Because we are the land of micromanagers, and we always have the best idea. And the minute I see my son with a problem, my Excel sheet goes up. I'm like, oh, here are the following 16 doctors we will call, and here, and he's just like, I just want to play video game, And I'm like, if we're not on the same page, then we're not on the same page, and it's going to be frustrating for everybody. So we want to get buy-in, we want agreement, and we want action-oriented words too. So the difference between feeling more confident or doing this or that in order to make something happen is really significant. So here's a list of action words or action verbs. That might be a good start. This is a short list. So words such as update, write, learn, call. I know all you industrious parents are writing these things down, and I'm writing on the board right now. I don't even need to turn around now. And so these are all ways of conceptualizing, thinking about ways that we can get together with our young adults and help them, support them, help them push them forward. So next we have realistic goals. So something like get rid of social awkwardness, we're not even sure what that means. Everybody's a little socially awkward. But what about something along the lines that has a definite beginning and end? We're going to call one friend at night 3 times a week. You can do that, right? You can mark it off on your list, you can set your alarm, and it's also realistic too. It can happen, and we can be successful at it and immediately successful. Also, the resources that are involved, we want to thoughtfully consider that. If we think about going to this social group and this experience, but the young adult doesn't drive or doesn't have reliable transportation or maybe only gets around in a more limited way, we need to think about things like that. So we need to set up goals that are actually, reasonable and able to be achieved. So we need to kind of think about, and this again, we look at our population and everybody has a unique scenario, situation, and everybody knows their young adult the best. So these are all things that I'm bringing forward, in relation to awareness.
Can I say chime in about one thing about that? Not to eat up any of your time. But when we also talked about reasonable goals, one of the things that I distinguish a lot between in the work readiness thing, which is a less specific version of this, is we talk about the difference between an outcome and a goal. So the most classic one that I use is weight loss. You are actually not in control of how much weight you lose. You are only in control of how well you adhere to the diet and exercise program. Your body may not respond to that particular diet, and if your goal is I gotta lose 10 pounds, well, no, that's like an outcome when you're gonna stop dieting. And that's something that a lot of people do. They get really frustrated. They're like, wow, I've done this diet for 6 weeks and I didn't lose any weight. Well, then the diet sucks if you stuck with it.
Right.
But if you didn't, then that's the thing. So even if you didn't lose any weight, you should walk away feeling great. Like, wow, look about how disciplined I got. I got all these things down, and if that's the goal, then that's a really awesome way to approach it. So you got to really examine, like, are these things that you're in control over? I from a sports background, I know a lot of people would say, like, oh, well, I want to be number one on the tennis team. Well, you can't account for how well other people are going to play. You may have played your best tennis and you're still going to get beat. You don't even know who's going to show up to tryouts. Like, that can be a tough thing. So really focus on things that you're in control of and stick with those in terms of that being a reasonable goal.
And the last one is being time sensitive and trackable. So if we think about it, if you give too much time or too little time for things, it's going to be challenging. Also, in relation to trackable, we want to think about, is your young adult still living with you? Are you across country? That also can determine how much that you can affect goals. So again, being realistic with yourself, being realistic in expectations, being realistic about your young adult, we'll all kind of put this together in a nice package with the idea of we are in this together, and just because we got out of the IEP, hallelujah, getting out of the IEP situation, right? But, moving into the real world situation, we can always move forward, we can always support, and this is a concrete way of thinking about that. I can give you some examples of some goals that we have written. For example, you could say practice standard interview questions. That's something that is in the Career Realities curriculum. We have 4 standard interview questions, which usually are asked in most interview situations. Best work experience, strengths, weaknesses. We work on weaknesses. That's a hard one. What's your greatest weakness? Which is just the worst question that's ever asked, but it is asked in every single interview situation. And we talk about how to spin that into like the positive, but not be corny about it and things like that. Practicing the elevator pitch in the car until it seems fluid and automatic, where you're not having to think about what your next experience is. You could do that on the way to EM. It's a 30-minute pitch, and the more you practice, the more automatic it becomes. Another one would be subscribe to one new business blog every month and watch 3 videos. There's a lot of really good business blogs and YouTube channels that look at nonverbal behavior, that look at workplace environment, communication, dress. It's really actually very, the business blogs and the YouTubes, there are lots of channels and lots of blogs. The students have a lot of references and resources in their binders already. And research new VFX studios for one hour per week. These are all possible areas that the students could work on and excel in. Dress in business casual every Tuesday. Just to up the ante. We're trying to get away from wearing shorts to school or shorts to work or old clothes or whatever the challenge is. Everybody knows what that primary challenges. If you kind of look at, if you imagine the 5 pillars of work readiness and the, the triangle of career realities, probably when you think of your child right now, you're like, that's the one right there. That's that one special space. And all of the things that we're working on now, this parent training is a little bit different model that we're piloting right now. And we really would like your feedback. So all of these areas that we're touching on right now, if there are places where you're like, wow, I really like this, because these are all just like little samplings, right? So if there are areas where you're like, wow, I'd like some more intense training in that, I'd like to have some more workshops in that, we really do want your feedback on the way that we have organized the content and the way that we've organized this workshop, and what areas are important to you, where you'd like to find some more training. Yes, no, maybe, any kind of feedback is really helpful to us. So, put the period at the end of your sentence, and we're about to do a really fun game. I know, everybody, and you get to get your phones out too.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that in a classroom environment? Get your phones out.
So one of the things that we do with the students is we do these assessments, and there are a lot of tools that were designed by, or helped design by, behavior analysts to bring technology into the classroom. So when we run quizzes, this is a really great idea. So if you want to set it one more over. So this is called Kahoot. I don't know if your students have talked about it or if you're familiar with it, but if you have a smartphone, which I presume most of you do, then pull it out and open up a web browser and go to kahoot.it. And then once you're there, we'll switch out to our other thing. And we just have a little 5-question quiz. So now, just so you're aware, there's no way to turn off. This is something I don't like about the app, actually. There's no way to turn off the competitive ranking system in it. So when it asks you to type your name, if you're worried about being, just put an alias. This is more just like general survey stuff to see like what actually got retained. And we use these kinds of things a lot. Like we use quizzing not to stress the students out or assess them, but to assess how well we did as instructors. So, what's that? Yep, I know. I'm gonna pull it up. So we gotta actually.
Okay, so everybody should look something along like this. Then the game pin will come up and we'll put that number in next.
There we go. Okay. So what's going to happen is this game pin at the top is the pin that you will put in. 2320655. And then what will happen is as you sign in, that's right, it will populate with your name. Yeah, naughty nicknames beware.
Yeah. Steer clear of the naughties.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Yes, you got it. Nice. And now essentially the way this game works, and so I want to warn you about this here, is the way this game works is that I believe that for each question, it starts you at 1,000, and you have 20 seconds, and the points go off with every fraction of a second they go. So the later you answer, the lower your points are. Don't rush. I'm more interested in the fact that you put in a correct answer than you win the game. Okay? So what will happen is, as we do this is where it also gets a little bit weird. The questions are all multiple choice, and they will be up on the screen here. Only your choices will appear down at the bottom. So there will be 4 shapes. I believe it's like square, circle, triangle, and then all that will show up are the shapes. And you need to match the shape to the correct answer up here.
Can you repeat that? What?
It will make perfect sense when you see it. There will be 4 choices up here, and it'll be like red circle will be pet or something like that, right? And then on your phone, all you're going to see is the red circle. So you need to match, so the answers will be paired. It'll make sense, I promise. Just go through some. Does anybody else need time getting into this, or is everybody in?
Everybody in? Do you see your name up here?
All right, looks like we're good. 21 players. This is excellent. Okay, so go ahead and start.
Good luck.
Yeah, you can go full screen on it too.
He's gonna start. Does your thing start us, is that it?
Yeah, so here's what's gonna happen. So this question will come up. You'll have 20 seconds, nobody panic. Self-management requires 3 parts. Okay? Then here they are. You have to match the shape and color to the ones that are on your phone. So once you find the correct answer up here, then you look down and you select that same shape on your phone. Okay, so if you didn't get your answer in in time, unfortunately it times you out. I put a max amount of time. So it was self-monitoring, goal setting, and reinforcement. So, what's that? Oh yeah, and I should also warn you too that rewards.
You said you were supposed to give yourself a reward.
Yeah. So everyone who picked those things are both correct actually.
Okay.
So you were both correct. You're both correct. My bad. So I make a distinction a lot with the students, the difference between reinforcement and a reward. And a reward is something that feels good but doesn't actually have any impact on your behavior. And something that's reinforcing is something that actually motivates you to do it more. And it's really surprising that something that feels good frequently has no effect on your behavior. So they'll be like, oh, I gave myself some chocolate for finishing this project. And then they're late on all of the other projects. As opposed to like, me when I get home and I've got to work on my dissertation, I'm like, I cannot have a glass of wine until I've completed X, Y, and Z. And then I'm super motivated to plow through, right? I withhold something from myself. So okay, let's go to the next question. So I promise you the answers get a lot more discrete. So everyone did great on that. So okay. Here we go. And keep in mind this is behavioral flexibility, not mental flexibility.
Yeah, I got kicked out.
Yeah.
Oh, dang it. That's a bummer. Can you say, do you not know
I
that?
just need the pen again.
The code. Hold on, there's a way to show the code.
2320655.
Okay. 232.
0655.
Okay. Sorry. Oh, awesome.
Right on,
That'd
guys.
be great. And that was if there was another best choice, focus on not getting stuck was a good one. But all right. All right. People back in?
Yep.
Okay, let's move forward. Here we go. Next. Okay. That's how you know you've written a good question. Every answer's like right away. Alright. Boom. Oh, yeah. Well, also when you feel like it. Also when you feel like it. Alright. Okay, let's keep going. Now watch the wording on this one.
This one's tricky.
You've never had this feeling. You are not missing out. It is terrible. All right, how do we do? Oh, so far, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So 2 and 3. All right.
Well, one's wrong too, though, because you don't have a comma between prior.
Grammarly.
Yeah, Grammarly, thank you. It's really odd because I use Grammarly, which I've encouraged some of the students to use, which is an add-on to Google Chrome. And unfortunately, what it does in certain apps that are Flash-based is it will come up with an error, and then it won't let you type anything. And it's like, how do I get that? But then it's like, sign into Grammarly, and then pay for the premium. And it's like, but I can't go back and fix.
I just need to have a
I was like, I just need to do something, whatever it is. Okay. So, there's one more, yeah.
I see it already. I like the little comments it gives you.
Yeah,
Trigger happy.
yeah, trigger happy or genius.
Classroom superpower.
Yeah. So, awesome. Oh, excellent. Okay, great. Awesome. Well, this is good feedback for us because it lets us know that you were all listening. So hopefully that was.
So we gotta pack smart parents. We like to hear that.
Yeah. That was
So then we don't have to fill out that end of the program, you know.
Oh, is there an end of program? I don't know. Yeah.
FBA.
It's Celtics, number one.
So while they're doing that, the next thing in here, it says meme analysis, and that's what I've been calling, pretend you're not looking at this right now.
Let's go.
When we work with the students in social media, there's a lot of places where we can start conversations and work. We look at humor, we look at indirect innuendos, inferences, all based in social media. And one thing that they did recently, for example, their homework last week was they looked at a BuzzFeed that was called 21 people who should be fired immediately, which is basically like, I'm like, this is vocational. And it's all just silly things like a bar of soap in the soap dispenser, you know, like, yeah, put soap in the soap dispenser, not a bar of soap in the soap dispenser. So they had to explain what the joke was on each of the different things. And so we were hoping to put up we have 2 memes, and we wanted to kind of start just a little conversation. And that's basically, this is the end of our organized presentation. We kind of wanted to open up to a conversation. And we have 2 memes here with kind of the focus of managing job and life expectations and young adult independence. And so we were hoping we could have a little chat with you guys.
You put that on.
So hopefully everybody's finding this hilarious, right? But we think about things like consistency with our population and, sorry?
What you said, think of,
We think of things-
Consistency.
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 consistency, got it.
We want, and no excuses. We want them to go to work every day. We want them to go to school every day. We have lots of interesting excuses and reasons why that can't happen sometimes. And we like to hold them to their highest abilities and their highest behaviors. Another one is, and these are just some ideas that we had, and we can go in whatever direction you guys would like. Also, natural consequences. Have you guys ever heard of natural consequences? Do we know about those? Like, for example, if we don't get up when the alarm rings and we don't make it to school, the natural consequence of that is a special trip to the principal's office.
Sometimes. Sometimes they come to that. Some of our guys are low tone and they don't like the WAP. That was a joke.
Exactly. These jokes.
Yeah. Didn't see.
And also.
Do you have an office too?
Yeah.
And also the way that we don't want to blame our parents, and we don't want to allow them to blame us for things that happen, and because that doesn't help them. And we're actually very easy scapegoats, and we're the closest usually to the young adult. And sometimes we find ourselves in situations like, well, I didn't do my homework because my mom was bothering me. And so it's not helpful to them to allow them to think those things, say those things. That doesn't give them any type of long-term benefit. It's an easy out, and we are easy outs a lot of times, but in the long term, it doesn't benefit our young adults, and it's not a good mature practice to enforce in the home.
Yeah, and I think, for those of you who came to the parent boot camp a while back that Emily and I gave, we talked specifically about how sometimes when you swoop in to get them up on time and to get them to do that and they make it, is that sort of swooping behavior obscures the actual natural outcome of their behavior. And then if they don't make it on time, then it was your fault because you were a part of the chain that got them to PM on time or to work on time or whatever. And so sometimes just letting them fail, as bad as that is, I know I had a long, like almost fight-like conversation with a parent where she's like, I would never let my kid run out of gas on the side of the road. And I was like, I hope they don't get hurt when they do, but if you fill up their gas every time, they're never gonna learn to manage it, ever. They're never gonna pay attention to it. And they will start to pay grave attention to it when they run out of gas.
And we empower them also to be mature adults. When, you know, the line, the 18 line, I love that. I have a 20-year-old daughter who all of a sudden is mature and grown up when she's 18. You know, there's that, but it's like the behavior has to attach to the number, has to attach to the outcome. The other thing that we came up with was the independence thing. So if you think about self-starting, not the idea of, you know, we're always poking at them. So something that my son and I say to each other, you know, the don't just sit there and do something. So it makes him really mad when I come up to him and I'll say, don't just do something, sit there. You know, and that's all that immediately like gets him amped up, and he's like, I'm not doing nothing. And I'm like, it looks to me like you're doing nothing, you know. And yeah, don't just do, you know, just sit, I can't even say it now. Don't just sit there, do something, don't just do something, sit there, and that immediately amps him up and he starts doing whatever it is he's supposed to be doing. But, so the self-starting, and we want to kind of train that in there because it's so important. That's one of the most important adult skills that we have is being our own parent, being our own motivator, being our own, you know, start button. And then we also want to expect their best behavior as a baseline. We don't reward lack of bad behavior, right? We praise and we reward progress towards goals, but you know, just because they didn't do the following thing isn't a reason for a reward. Because they did the following thing is a reason for a reward. Because they moved forward on the goals that they were working on, that's a reason for a reward. That's a reason for the reinforcement. And also, this is me at the bottom, just, you know, in the parent club. So parents, take a break, commend yourself, don't give up. You're totally awesome. And so we are open for questions right now. And if you guys wanted to talk, this is the end of our planned presentation. But we would like to chat with you. Yes.
Where is dealing with mentoring brought up?
I'm sorry.
How do you work your YAs into a mindset that they can accept mentoring maybe from somebody who's more experienced? That's a big deal in my field.
Yes.
I'm guessing it's also a big deal in the entertainment business. But how does it work? Do you bring that up?
Yes. Yes. How do we work mentoring into? That's a question. How do we work mentoring?
Yes. How do you work mentoring into it? Maybe you have to prepare them to take mentoring steps or whatever else.
Yeah, so
That
the feedback model is really huge on that part of it, but we also talk about how if somebody is unsure of what to be doing about reading or looking for the most optimal performance and then emulating that. So in terms of mentoring, one of the things that we're starting to get, and this is going to become a bigger part of our program, is we're getting a lot of investment from people in the industry who are big time, who are willing to give their time and help us out. You know, Pamela Jarvis, who works at DreamWorks, she's a professional map painter who did all the background work for Trolls. If you saw that movie, it's awesome. We also have Richard Gasparian, he's the timing director for The Simpsons. He's coming in to work with some of our students. And so in terms of helping them out with that, we definitely are talking about, you know, we're working with them on specifically like, hey, here's how you take feedback, here's how you incorporate it specifically into your projects, and here's how you work on your, you know, the professional demeanor part of it, the social atmosphere. Here's how you set it up essentially so that you become a reinforcing component of them. They want to give you feedback, they want to help you because you execute immediately, that in and of itself is rewarding for them. And so we focus on those components. One of the hard parts about our vocational training more generally is that we can't teach it all. And so what we're doing this year, as I mentioned in orientation, is we're creating a master skills map. And there's this idea of there's a lot of things, like mentoring, I think might fall into this, that is a composite skill of a number of the other components we're teaching. And if we teach them appropriately, those will emerge without additional direct training. And so the example that I would say is if anybody's learned a foreign language, you learn English to Spanish, and you should get Spanish to English for free. Anybody who's done that knows it doesn't work exactly like that because receptive and expressive language, those are different things. But what ends up happening is if you teach A to B, you should get B to A for free. It won't be quite as fluent, but it will emerge on its own. Now, if you don't, then we go back and we train that specifically. And so when we're getting into the applied practice component of third year, so by the time Peter gets there, for example, the program's going to look a lot different for him. Then what we've done this year, and I talked about this at orientation, but just so that comment makes sense, is it used to be that career realities and work readiness were taught in the third year. When I took that over last year, I said, no, this is a waste of time if we're letting them walk through our perfect and terrible habits. And then we're like, hey, now let's address these, now that you're about to leave. So we taught it across all 3 classes last year, and then this year it's only in the first year. And then we're doing the same thing with career realities this year, and now that Kristen's put together a much more robust and direct curriculum about that, we've linked that up with what we're teaching. So she's, maintaining and maintenancing all the skills that we learned before, but that's being taught in second and third year, but next year will only be taught in the second year. So then in the third year, we're going to take the additional, between 20 and 40% of the curriculum that they're going to get back, and that's going to be to have specific applied practice. And during that time, our hope is that there's going to be a lot of mentoring, whether it's VFX people down from the studio coming up to help them work on projects, whether it's bringing in outside professionals to work on other aspects of it. We're going to try and get it really specific. So that will become a more robust part of our curriculum next year.
I would hope that part of that would be learning skills to select an appropriate mentor that works with you, communicate that you respect, and you can make a judgment that this person really can get me somewhere.
Yeah, we do talk a lot about network, and that's an interesting thing because for the most part, we're the ones setting them up with the mentors for the skill set that they have. But that's an important thing, I know that a couple of our students who are really go get them have come to us and said, hey, this is something I need. This is something I need to go find. And then we've helped them. We've been working on that. Hey, let's set up additional things with that. But that's something that we fully recognize is going to become a more important aspect of that. But in terms of this first cartoon, we do a lot of job placement for them. We outline a lot of the areas where we think that they can get work, and we try to hone their skill set and really, push them in that direction. So, and as we're getting deeper and deeper into this, we just had a really big meeting on Friday to talk about what other areas and industries we can explore, to broaden what it is that we can get. Then hopefully we'll be able to do that and bring in more mentors to do so. But
and we are training the networking right now in a couple of different ways. They have, again, there are different permanent products that are out there. They're active on LinkedIn. They all have business cards. They know that when a speaker comes, it's almost like the students are descending upon them now, hopefully not too aggressively. But, I'm like, who has their business card? I'm like, who gave the speaker, or who gave the speaker at the conference the business card? Who is on LinkedIn with this speaker that just came? And it's amazing because they are making these connections. So we talk about it in class, we practice it in class, and they actually are out there doing it. So it is happening, it is being trained.
They have their own individual ones?
Yeah.
So I've seen Andrew's, and then there's the 2D barcode on the back.
Yeah.
So I tried scanning it and it didn't do anything. So what does that do? Or maybe
It didn't work? Oh, well, then we have a problem with their card.
Okay.
Well, what we have, I wonder, they shouldn't be in here, I don't know what they are. Well, every student is, do the first years have business cards?
no, first years do not.
The second and third years in career realities, they all have business cards, and they all have the QR reader on the back. Now, if yours isn't working, if Andrew's isn't working, then we need to address that tomorrow, because it should be working. Those, what are they?
Quick read, I think.
Quick reads, where it's like a little it's a box that,
Essentially, it's like a barcode, but it's like a weird puzzle-looking thing
Okay.
instead of a barcode because and you can print them out and attach it, and then when people scan it, because now you have QR reader apps on your phone, it will automatically pull up their website or their LinkedIn page.
and again,
It's
being
pretty
fluid
cool.
and dynamic in the industry, this is
Yeah.
the new hip, cool way, where it's like, you don't even need my card, you just scan me. And so that's what people are doing these days. And so theoretically, all the business cards that all of the students in second and third year should have, if your student doesn't have one, please contact me because they should. And yes, they
So
should.
that takes you to their website?
Yeah, that takes you to their website. So they all have personal websites.
It might be what I use to scan it with, so.
Oh, yeah, it depends, like, what's super cool about this is that
I can check
depending on the
tomorrow.
QR cards, your QR code setup, that you can, it can like download your V card instantly too. You know, like you do in a phone when you text somebody's information. I don't know why it's called a V card.
Yeah, so like, given like this discussion, like an idea for like a next session could be to
Yeah.
understand all the social, I mean, like, kind of all these tools that you guys are providing, their Wix page and.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we understand it, because, you know, I
To-
know that
to-
he's
to
doing all this
further
stuff,
support
but
it,
I
for
don't really
sure.
get the whole thing about it, like, you know, I get
Yeah.
little pieces of it.
So they all have personal websites in second and third year, and they all have demo reels that are in process and progress.
Yeah, so Wix is a service, a hosting service.
Okay,
So, and it just allows really simple and elegant, it's WIX.
but we
It's-
couldn't access it, or could?
Yeah, you could, it's on the web.
Oh,
Anybody can
it's
access it.
all on the web.
It's all on the web. And we're really cautious about what information they put on it and make sure that it's
It's
super
heavily
professional.
monitored.
Your address and your garage
Oh, yeah.
door are not on there. I promise you.
On EM website?
No, just on the World Wide Web, anywhere. You put it into a browser code.
Okay.
Yeah, Isaiah should be able to point
But you need to ask Isaiah what it is.
Just a couple more things about this, because do the students know that these are here and parents are going to look at them?
Absolutely.
Do they know that we're talking about all of this and that there is the expectation that there be work at home around some of this?
Yes.
Because I just have to really say, and I think that you know, Benjamin, Isaiah will not tell me, Isaiah does not let me look at his work, Isaiah is not going to listen to talking to me about goals and what he wants to do. I can say though, I have seen some things that you're talking about in terms of whoever came up with to only put the snooze on one time was when that was when he could get up on himself. He says, I figured out, I just am gonna put snooze once.
Yeah. By the way, if that's an issue, no snooze. Never snooze.
Yeah, what?
I'm a big fan of no snooze. Because what you're essentially
That opens
programming
up
for,
to-
yeah, that's the whole other thing.
Oh, in music?
You're a morning person.
But I am a morning person.
He's saying yes for the alarm. He's saying no.
I'd say, so like, if we want to get into specifics about things, like, I'm glad it's working for him. Whatever works to get you up in the morning is fine. The issue with snooze alarms is that you're essentially programming for desensitization of the alarm altogether.
Right.
And you don't want to do that. And, I've read a ton of sleep studies, both on the infant level and on the adolescent level. I've looked at military experiments that they've done where they've done super specific responding conditioning so that they can get individuals like Navy SEALs to sleep in 5 seconds. They'll be like, look, and they'll wake up depending on the time that they told them. They'll be like, you know what, it's your turn, you gotta go down. You've been up for X number of hours, you've got 4 hours, you're off. And they go off. There's no alarm that goes off because they can't have an alarm go off in the middle of the Afghani wilderness or something. Be like, oh, sorry, snooze. They can't have that happen. And so they've been able to condition people in really specific ways to do things. But I know from that standpoint that when I start hitting the snooze alarm, next thing you know, it goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and then everybody goes
Just one more.
Yeah.
And then you have the backup alarm.
Yeah, and then you have the backup alarms and the different tones. And look, we've all been there. It's tough. It's hard. Yeah, you gotta get used to it. The self-management thing that I tell them when we're coming self-management is that every study will show that if by the time that your alarm goes off, if within 15 minutes you are up and on your feet and moving, and it doesn't matter where to, it could be to the garage, to the breakfast table, to the shower, whatever it is, that serves as that's sort of the maximum amount of time that you're going to start to see conditioning where, I switched to become a morning runner because I have weird diet things, like if I eat I can't run, I just start cramping and it's I have to wait 4 or 5 hours. So I run first thing in the morning, and the next thing you know, I'm a morning person because now I've taught my body to be active at that time of day. And so now it's I wake up naturally. And that kind of conditioning happens. So you can decide what kind of person you want to be. And then you can engineer that. But it takes a lot of practice. It was not easy for me to get up in the morning. And then the problem is when you do a really good job of conditioning yourself, like I have, unfortunately then, this morning, it's Sunday, I didn't need to get up. But I'm up at 4:45, what's going on? There's nothing to do. So, at 4:45, don't get up at 4:45.
Not right.
It's not right. So, other questions?
Any other questions?
What was your, I wasn't really, maybe you didn't get the meme analysis? Do you have a specific example? This is it?
This is it, yeah, just,
Benjamin doesn't like that as a term. Basically, I use social media as a way to start conversations with them, to look at intended messages, to look at humor, to kind of, understand the social aspects of what's going on Facebook, on LinkedIn, in media itself. A lot of times they won't understand the joke, or they won't understand the indirect message. And I'll say, is this appropriate to put, on a business page? Oh yeah, I'm like, but look at the way it's spelled. And then they're like, oh my God, So we look at intended kind of messages. We look at the way people are talking in the world. We look at what is the current hip slang, and if you should use it, and if you should not use it, and if you should, who you should use it with. So things like that. That's what I call a meme analysis. He doesn't like it. We can.
well, I mean, memes are an important thing, because like one of the quick ways to make money on YouTube, this is not a joke, is to come up with a wildly successful,
Exactly.
Grumpy Cat. Like, anything like that, like the people who came up with Grumpy Cat are millionaires. Yeah, like you get paid a ton of money because it's so easy to track that as a digital asset. They have a watermark on it, they know exactly how many times it's been used, how far the spread of the reach is over the world. And more and more and more, and I know at MIT and at Middlebury College, they both have classes that are designed to have internet memes and wild successes. And so they come up with and every class has come up with something that has hit #1 on YouTube or on it's nuts. Like they have these formulas for it.
That's a college course now?
That's a college course.
Wow.
Because there are people who are celebrities for being celebrities. One of my friends, he's a talent manager for Amanda Sings or Miranda Sings. Anybody of you guys know who she is? She has like 27 million followers on YouTube. She's totally rich.
She's a YouTube.
Yeah, my friend got to meet Michelle Obama because they got invited to the White House. I was like, who, what? Like, I didn't know who this person is. And then I watched her thing, and it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I don't understand why 27 million people would like that, and then it was the #1, YouTube video out there. I have no idea. But when he talks about it, she does all this super specific meme analysis. She does all this other stuff. So she piggybacks. She's like super smart and like knows how to bring in all these things so that it seems like it's familiar to everyone who watches it. But essentially all she does is talk in a really annoying voice and put lipstick on the outside of her lips. Like that's it. But she's a millionaire, so like these are people who are really smart and who understand how these things evolve. And for our guys who, as you can see, just in 5 minutes at lunch or whatever, can put up all kinds of work on there, they could make memes, they could make really awesome, hilarious things that would be great. And they all know how to use Photoshop, they all know they can make these little, what's the thing that loops every couple seconds? What's that? GIFs, yeah. They can make little GIFs, and those are great. Those are super awesome for their website, for notoriety. That's a great calling card in on itself. Be like, hey, Grumpy Cat, remember that? That's me. Oh yeah, Grumpy Cat, that was awesome.
So anyway, so to wrap it up, if you guys don't have any more questions, and what I wanted to ask also is just for feedback. Please feel free to email me or Benjamin with any kind of feedback about this specific parent workshop. And piggybacking off of this, I'd like some more information, just like Tricia was asking, or Nancy. But anything in here that you were like, wow, I'd like to know more about this, and also something that's totally different. Wow, I'd like to know more about this. We're looking for our topics and
yeah, for sure. And then I also want to make one comment to Nancy's point. Because I know that we've been going through the ICP process about this time of year, so a lot of us, a lot of people who are in the full-time program have had a lot of recent contact with us. But we treat them as adults, and we put the onus on them to communicate with you. So, I was, and when parents are always like, why aren't you communicating with me more? I'm always like, well, when was the last time your parents talked to your college professor? Never. We're a vocational training program that is a transitional in nature, where our goal is to get them at a professional level. You guys are welcome to contact me if you have questions or concerns. I am more than available. That is my job. But unless there's a problem, no news is good news. Things are going well. right? And we'll let you know if there's a problem that we don't feel we can address. But we're gonna try and address it in-house first.
Because that reinforces our independence that we were
Yeah.
talking about too.
So I apologize if they do not communicate with you. I was really great at communicating with my parents when I was in college when I needed money. So hopefully you're doing better, they're doing better than I did. Yeah.
That, is there some way that as part of either your working class or part of the job readiness, that because communication is going to need to be, even when they talk to a friend, you know, what happened at the interview? This is what happened, A, B, C, D. What was that like? So isn't that something that could be built into this job, to the skills management? That way to give us, if they did that for us as the parents, that we could.
Written and spoken language is part of career realities. So we have the note-taking, we do summarizing, we have opinions, we have the Toastmasters coming in, we do the break room chat. We're learning different ways to communicate through the technology, like I was talking about, the Adobe Sparks.
I know that, but it's just that.
You're talking about
Communicating back with the parents.
Just get back to parents as another way
So,
to practice.
Yeah, one of the things that we are thinking about, and this is something the staff is a little reticent about, so I don't want to open Pandora's box here, but we do use ClassDojo to monitor and track all of their behaviors. This is a FERPA and HIPAA compliant app, and what it does is it allows us as teachers to all comment on any student that something's going on at the same time. So like we have internal lists of all their attendance, any behavioral things that come up. A component of that program is that we can send out parent codes, and then there's a private Facebook page that the student then manages where they can post their work and those kinds of things. We haven't done that at all because that just becomes kind of a weird mess in terms of us managing what we should share and not share with people. And until we're a lot more, confident in how our staff uses the program, we don't want to be posting stuff out there, even though it's invite only. But that is something that we are thinking about more, where if they have a running page that's not Facebook, so that they can be posting, hey, here are projects that I've been working on, here are things that I'm doing. And we're going to be looking at that more in the fall. We're going to be reevaluating whether or not that's something that we have, so that they can post their work so that you guys can see.
Yeah, it could be like a community of support.
Yeah, it could be. But you would only get to see your student's page. You can't see anybody else's page. So yeah, it's not like a community. It's not like a cool board. But we do post all of their work that is completed to our website.
I
So
was just going to add for you, Benjamin, and for everybody, it's not 2 to 3 drinks every day. It's no more than 3 drinks a day for men, a total of 7 drinks a week for men, 5 for women.
okay.
Sure, that's considered low-risk drinking.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Kristen, you touched on 1 or 2 times during your talk about homework. Is this something that they are always supposed to be working on something at home? Because the usual answer I get is, no, it's all done.
Well, yes, in my class, every week there is some kind of homework. Now, the fact that it isn't coming home, that's not necessarily a problem because they do have time to do it here.
Yeah.
They also have writing labs, so there are chunks of the day where homework does happen. They also have the breaks, they have writing lab. So the fact that it's not coming home isn't necessarily an issue, but there is homework.
Yeah, and I will say, so we do strongly encourage students to be working on their own stuff outside of here. But we primarily want them to be focused on fundamental stuff that they already have in the bag. And the reason being is when they're learning novel skills, we don't want them out reinforcing bad habits or problem, solving skills that are actually not efficient. And when they don't have a new skill, we don't want them practicing it where we can't prevent a lot of that error repetition. Does that make sense? So
That makes sense,
it's
but if you're
really
talking about they're supposed to be looking
Right.
at researching different things.
it's really situational, and
Yeah.
and is my point, is that it just depends. There are certain things when it's their 15-second club in the first year and they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing, great. A lot of them come to lab where they'll stay in and just keep working on it at lunch because it's interesting to them and they have access to their partner.
And doing things like researching jobs and stuff, that's not something that, here, go ahead and let me know how it works out. Something that would be a homework, assignment would be draw your binder cover, bring it back. Look at these memes, tell me why they're funny, bring it back. We wouldn't open them up to, apply for 6 jobs and let me know how it goes.
Do they know at the end of their Monday session what things they should be working on for the next week?
Yes.
Yes, and when they don't
Yes.
do them, we have it all covered in-house. Trust me, we're on top of it.
Yes, there is a mandatory upgrade. If homework doesn't happen, then you come to writing lab. If writing lab, if you don't come to writing lab, then you meet with the principal. You can come to Saturday writing lab. There's a whole series of steps up that we don't want to do, upgrades if you don't do your work.
So one of the things is that, and a couple of students have come to me and said, hey, I'm really interested in looking at this thing. And it's something that we don't necessarily teach, but it's in a related field. Then I refer them to, on Tuesday nights, Kristen runs Vocational Lab. It's to help with resume writing, update your LinkedIn page. It's, hey, I want to do some job research. How do I go about doing that? What jobs are available? We do a bunch of that in the vocational training that we do on Monday, but on Tuesday she's here for additional stuff. So somebody's like, hey, I kind of want to know what it's like, hey, I know this has nothing to do with it, but I want to make coffee mugs. And I want to do printing on coffee mugs. What's the market for that like? She'll sit down and help them figure out how to research that.
We work on that. We'll work on that, and we'll work on long and short-term goals. Someone, my future. I'm like, okay, let's break it down. Your future, that sounds pretty big. Let's make our list. Okay, let's break it down into 1 week. Let's break it down into 1 month, into 6 months, into 1 year. And then it seems like more manageable. Because when you go, there's like the, oh my God, I don't know what to do with the rest of my life. That happens every once in a while. I'm like, all right, let's make a list of what you want to do.
So,
and then let's break it down. Yeah.
Yeah, going back to that homework concept, just so you guys are aware kind of how it's worked. We've definitely upped the game a lot this year. And last year we were having about 4 to 5 people attend lab on Tuesday and Thursday night. Now it's in the ballpark of 15.
We have a full lab.
We have a full lab. We're talking about needing to bring on additional staff to accommodate that. So if you're in the full-time program or the prep, or you're in the alternate program, then Tuesdays, Thursdays, come on in. If you're in any part of our program and you want to come to movie night, come on in. But those are things that we're really strongly encouraging. People are starting to take advantage of. So those are things that we want to encourage and do as much as possible. But with respect to job placement, we're going to try and use every industry connection we have to get everyone here a job. That's one of our goals. That's not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination, because the market's a dynamic place and it depends on the skill set that, matching the skill set to the job available. But that's also why we, have our studio downstairs and across the hall.
The other thing too in relation to the homework is we never send them out doing homework that they're not going to be successful in. We go through the homework in a pretty thorough way before they go out and do it. They spend a little time before they leave, usually working on the homework. There's time during the day. They have the writing lab. They send me emails if they don't understand. But anything that's interacting kind of in like a live, real job environment, we do write dummy cover letters. We do apply for fake jobs to practice. We don't ever apply for real jobs. We don't ever send out cover letters in our homework and things like that. That's something that will happen next year, and that happens with a different type of support. And so any of that, it's all very in-house, it's all very mock interview, practice these skills, look at this and tell me what you think about it. There is always homework, but it is never anything that is something that could get them into trouble or could be in any way weird kind of with, the real industry that's out there. It's always in-house, and anything that they do in relation to job application now in second year is all mock.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if they want to work with you on the Tuesday,
Absolutely.
how is it that they're supposed to go about letting, do they have to let you know, is there a sign up?
Well, no, there's two ways. So you can show up and hope I'm available, which is good. That's one angle. But what students have been doing recently is I was talking about like the one student who wanted to work on the break room chat. So we make a 15-minute appointment. There was another student who wanted to work on his binder. He's like, my binder's a mess. And I was like, all right, we have a 15-minute appointment. And so Kat monitors the entire writing lab, and I will let her know. I'll say, okay, so I have 15 minutes here, 15 minutes here, and then I'm available. So if your student wants to come in and have dedicated time with me, they need to make an appointment. If they want to come in and see if I'm available, that's cool too. But then I might not be available. Because some days I'm totally available, and some days I'm way not available.
And they make the appointment by contacting Kat or by
Contact
emailing you?
Yeah.
They contact me. Yeah, and so Annie can, she'd say, I want to work on this, and I'll say, okay, so Tuesday, this is how much time. Usually it'll be 15 minutes or 30 minutes, depending on what they're working on. Or they can come and work on something where we can start off on their career goals, and I'll come back to you in 15 minutes and things like that. But when I know who's coming and what they're coming for, it's easier to manage time and resources.
Is that contact by email, or they come and talk to you? How do they contact you?
They can email me, they can come see me. I'm readily around.
Yeah.
And if you can't find me, you can ask Jill, she knows where I am.